and welcome to another episode of the Influential Nonprofit. As always, I'm your host. Of course, you know me, I'm Maryanne. I work with nonprofit leaders to master the art of influence so they can ask for and receive all they want, need, and deserve. And today we're going to talk about events. You are no longer an event planner, you are an experience creator. And we're going to talk about how you can get more out of your events from before, during, and after to really maximize giving, heighten engagement, and keep people staying around after the event. Yay! Okay, so first of all, in my past, I did a lot of events. I was a major event planner. Not all of them were fundraising events. Some of them were conferences and workshops, but we've all been there. And the one thing I know for sure are events are very, very time consuming. It's a lot of logistics. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of thinking. And yet we tend to default to events a lot for fundraising. And I can say a lot about this. I'm not going to today. I'm not sure the events are really worth it if you look at the timing, how much staff time, how much expense it takes, but yet these are an important part of the fundraising process. And so we're going to accept that events are in our life, and yet that there are ways that we could be doing this better. Another thing about events that tend to thwart the success of them. Going for my notes here. Hold on just a second. Sorry. Is we kind of stir up a bunch of energy and then it sort of dissipates. Like you go to an event like, oh my God, that was amazing. That was amazing. And then you never really hear from them again, or it's a week later, or you don't get a thank you, or it's a lame thank you that feels really not it feels really impersonal, that kind of thing. Or you attend an event, and I had somebody on a call the other day, and they admitted the wrong people are in the room, right? The wrong people are in the room. Don't get me started about sponsor tables, but a lot of times we give these tables away to our sponsors, and they're not the right people for our event. I've talked about sponsors before, so I'm not going to go too far into this today. But I just want to say, maybe we can offer sponsors other things than tables at our events. In fact, I know you can, because what that does sometimes, I'm not saying every time, is they want to fill the table because they don't want to look like they don't have any friends or know anybody. And so they're just getting people who don't really care about your cause. They're just coming to an event. And yeah, okay, they could be, but most likely they're not. So we tend to, that it's expensive, it's time consuming. And then the last part of it, it's so logistical. We're really exhausted by the end of it. So we can't, like, we're so happy just to get through that dang event that we're just like done with it. And we don't even want to think about it. We're exhausted. And so we're forgetting really what the follow-up is and what to do after. So what we're going to talk about today is how to really maximize your events and go from events, remember, to experiences. But here's some numbers that I want to tap you into. 81% of people will give again if they feel connected to a cause, right? 81%, that's pretty high. 43% don't feel adequately appreciated post-event. So when surveyed, 43% of event participants didn't feel like they were adequately appreciated post-event. So you got them all riled up and then you let them down in the end. And 72%, and here's a big one, poor communication or feeling unappreciated is the main reason somebody stops giving. They just don't feel like what they do matters. So they stop. This is your task now, is to move past these numbers and really give people an experience that will have them more connected to your organization and have them want to stay. So we're talk about what to do. So what is the difference between an event and an experience? And now that you are no longer an event planner, I'm no longer, right? I'm an experience creator. You're an experience creator. Event plus emotion equals experience. We have plenty of events that we don't remember, right? Because there is no emotion. We have emotions that really aren't attached to anything. So when we combine the two, we create an experience. And that experience is memorable. My dad, I am the party planner of my family. And I think I got my skills or my love of this from my dad. And my dad's my three tenets of throwing a party was plenty to eat, plenty to drink, and something to remember. And our house, we always had these crazy skits and songs or some kind of performance or something. Like when I was 7, 8, 9, my parents had these huge New Year's Eve parties. My dad was a big shot at Anheuser-Busch. He was in advertising. It was like Mad Men, because it was like the 60s and 70s, but he was on the client side. But it was very much like that atmosphere. Anyway, my dad would have these New Year's Eve parties, and at midnight he would come down, and this is true, and this is why I'm in therapy. I have pictures. Come down dressed in a diaper with a sash that said New Year's baby, and he would tell jokes, and I was like the Ed McMahon. I was the straight man. He delivered the punchlines. He was Johnny Carson, and I remember like standing on a chair so that people could see me and giving these jokes with my dad. Literally had to practice this. But anyway, anytime that we had a party, there was always something memorable. Um, I call it demonstrative displays of affection. That was my family was really good at. But my dad intuitively knew how to create experiences that people would remember. So and I do that too. Like I am the banquet hall of my family. My house is conducive to it and I'm good at it, right? I know how to make people feel appreciated. This is what I coach and train people to do in the nonprofit world, is to have people feel valued, welcomed, valued, appreciated, excited to be there. Event plus emotion equals experience. So what's the difference between an event and an experience? And if you're an event planner, you're focused on logistics, right? The comings and goings, the seating chart, the chairs, the programs. If you're an experience maker, you're focused on emotion, connection, and transformation. How will people be different when they leave the room? What will have changed in them from having this experience? Most people will forgive logistics if the experience is strong enough. And by focusing on the emotion, connection, and transformation, you're actually making your logistics a lot easier. People will forgive a lot if they're having an amazing time. In an event planner, you will measure success by attendance, agenda timing, money raised. Did we stay on track? Did we raise a lot of money? And I'm not saying those things aren't important. And what can also transform your event into an experience is you're measuring engagement, connection, and follow through. Follow through. What are you doing after this event? And I'm going to tell you that what you do after an event is as important or more important than what happens during the event. And finally, the donor feeling afterward is for an event was, oh, that was nice. Donor feeling after an experience is that moved me. I'm a changed person from having that. So we're going to focus on emotion, engagement, and transformation. And chances are you're not doing any of this right now. And you know what? That's okay. That is okay. There's always room. If you are interested, and you're listening, you can shoot me an email, or maybe I'll just have them upload it to the show notes. We'll see if that works. If not, shoot me an email, Maryanne@courageouscommunication.com, and I will give you my donor engagement template, which shows you exactly how you're going to measure engagement at your events and how you can actually track that so that you are not just making sure, dinner gets served on time, but you're saying who's most interested, who kind of sat back, who talked to a lot of people, who said they would want to talk more at the end. So you can actually track all that. And then also a post-event 3 email sequence, follow-up sequence for after the event. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later when we talk about follow-up. But if you want that, you can have it. I'll hopefully I can get them to upload it to the show notes, but if not, just shoot me an email. I'll get it for you. So now let's talk about how to create an experience. I'm going to give you 7 steps on how to create an experience. If you're listening along, so you can keep track. The first is that events are part of a bigger journey, okay? Events do not live in isolation. And I see so many organizations that don't understand where an event lies on your donor awareness, on your donor journey. if you have worked with me in the past or you listen to my podcast, you know that I have a 4-step process for enrolling donors in an organization. Awareness, interest, connection, action. That's it. And if you and everything you do should be supporting one of those, either building awareness, which means publicity, broad-based publicity, social media, all of that. Interest, which is when you bring people into your orbit, that's most likely your email list. The interest keeps people warm, keeps people happy. That's where your community is. And connection is small group or personal connection, and action is what you want them to do, and which is probably give money. So most every event is designed to stimulate awareness, interest, connection, right, and move people to action. Some events I was talking with someone the other day, and they're having this big mural unveiling. That's an awareness into interest event. There's a lot of people who are coming who've never been to this or know of this organization. This is a really public event. So, hey, how can I capture those names and see if anybody's interested in continuing the relationship? Some are interest events, like, hey, there are people in your orbit and you're calling them into an event that could be maybe an annual event that you do every year, like a run. It could be a lunch and learn, something like that. Then you have connection. Connection events are established events where most people are donors. Most people are already connected to the cause. We're just giving them a reason to reconnect and move to action. So if you're having an event and there's a lot of new people and it's in the interest category and it's a fundraiser, you have to think about, how can I get people to move from interest, connection, action, like in one night? And also, if it's mostly people who are aware or interested and they're not really connected yet, that might not be a premium time for fundraising. Not that you can't raise money, but you're not going to raise money like you do with people who are already established donors or already have a deep connection to the cause. It may be their first time giving. So think about where your event falls and what is the intention and purpose of it. Is it designed, if it's designed to connect people and move them to give, that's great. Then make sure that what you're doing is supporting that before, during, and after. So you're priming people before the event that this is a fundraiser, right? And you want to raise a certain amount of money, and here's how they can participate. And then after, making sure you're doing your follow through. If it's an interest event, man, you want to make sure that you are on it as far as those follow-ups go. Because if somebody's like, oh my God, I'd love to learn more, you want to be on that. And if that guide will, there's a table that shows you exactly what to measure when you're measuring engagement. So just remember that your event is part of a bigger journey, and where it fits in on that journey and once you have that intention set, it will make your event much more successful in the first place. Okay, now, I mentioned this earlier, but I want to say, let's rethink who's in the room. A lot of times we put people in the room who aren't really that interested in our cause. So there's a difference between committed and compliant. And so, for instance, I go to trivia nights. That's a really big thing in St. Louis. People do trivia nights all the time. That's cool. I love trivia. I go to trivia events. And I might go to an event because I love trivia, not because I'm especially supportive of the cause. Sometimes I go because I'm supportive of the cause, and hey, I would go either way, but it's trivia bonus. So not everybody there is going to be a committed. Some of them are compliant. And by compliant, I mean, I might attend an event because my friend invited me, and hey, and I'm going to go, and I might give a gift or buy an auction item or something, but that's kind of it for me. I don't really have any other connection. But that's compliant, and that's okay. Or they're committed, which means they're really invested and they have a personal, emotional connection to your cause and they want to stay around. Not everybody is going to be committed, and that's okay. You're going to take people as far as they want to go. One of my clients is the Foster and Adoptive Care Coalition, and they do this event every other year called Hope in a Handbag. And Hope in a Handbag is about 2,000 purses, about 500 women, and it's an amazing event. And we know that only maybe I think it was 5 or 10% of those people are actually long-term donors of the cause. If Foster and Adoptive Care Coalition at one point said, hey, another organization, Annie's Hope, would you like to, we would give you this event. We'll will it to you. We don't want to do it anymore if you want to do it. The same women would go because they are invested in the cause, in getting a handbag, not necessarily the charity. And you know what? And that's okay. And they took a look at that and said, is it all right? This is not a donor cultivation event. but are we okay with it? And they are good at it. They streamlined and systematized it so that it is works for them. But that is a question that you want to ask. Like, how many, is this worth our time? Do we have the right people in the room? I mentioned this earlier, giving your tables away to sponsors. You have 20 tables in the room and 5 to 10 of them are sponsor tables. You may not have the right people in the room. And this can really hamper your ability to cultivate new donors. It's not really worth it if the right people aren't in the room. So who is the audience for this event? What are their needs? What do they want? Thinking about very intentionally, not just putting butts in seats. Who do we really want to cultivate at this event? And from there, then invite those people into the room and give your sponsors something else. Most people don't even really want a table, but they take it because they have to. And I swore I wasn't going to go into sponsorships, but okay. Now, the third thing is focusing on the participant journey. Think about this. Like, I buy a ticket to an event and I get really excited and then nothing happens. Like, I did a trivia night the other night with an organization that I used to work with a long time ago. And I submitted my name and nobody from that organization knew I was coming until I got there. So what I knew for sure is that the development person didn't look at the list and go over it with anybody know who these people are. Anybody want to thank them for coming? You think about, you get high when you buy the ticket and then you drop down and then, hey, it's getting closer to the date. Maybe you get a reminder, you go back up and then you drop down. What you want to do is keep people invested and excited the whole time. So it's not a roller coaster. It's just more of a, not a straight line, but not those big dips. So for instance, let's say I registered for this trivia night and people were looking at, oh, who's coming? And they say, oh, Maryanne's coming. Oh my God, this is so amazing. I haven't seen her in forever. I'm going to email her and say, hey, I saw that you attended. I'm so excited you're coming and you're bringing your family. That is amazing. How's your kid? Because my kid, this organization that I'm talking about, my kid took services from them. How's your son doing? That kind of thing. When people register, call them, text them, email them, say, oh my God, I saw you registered. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for joining. Or for coming, and you can send them, hey, we're a week away, I can't wait to see you. Anything that you can do to that, they are so excited, they can't wait to get in the door, they can't wait to get in the room. For Foster Adoptive Care Coalition, for Hope and Handbag, they would preview handbags. They're putting them up on Facebook. Look at this one. They're having the volunteers talk about the different bags that are coming in. I didn't mention this before, but people donate their gently used designer handbags. Some of them are very, very expensive. Some of them are not. Some of them are brand new, but most of them are very gently used designer handbags, which they're amazing. Okay, I'm going to pause and recap. Number one, we're going to remember that events are part of a bigger journey and understand where your events fall in that journey. Number two, rethink who's in the room, right? Don't fill your room with people who really don't want to be there. And which seems, I don't know, like, of course we want the right people there, but really make sure the right people are there. And then focus on your participants' emotional journey. Okay, number four, surprise and delight. Surprise and delight. Remember, my dad was giving you something unexpected. Sure, something unexpected and amazing in the room, but also something unexpected and amazing before or after. Even like surprising and delighting could be, giving people a phone call, like I was saying, like a preview. Uh, when people enter the room, is somebody there to greet them, or you're giving them a special award? I went to an event once and I got this like surprise special award, and I will never forget that. Delighting them with maybe pictures, like you're sending them pictures individually. This is such a great shot. Wanted to make sure you got it, kind of thing. What can I do to surprise and delight people? Mostly that is some sort of personal connection, but that's because I'm listening, I'm engaging, I'm thinking about everybody's emotional experience. But what can I do to surprise and delight someone before, during, and after the event? That will cement their experience. The fifth is make meaningful connections. So what do I mean by meaningful connections? And meaningful means that if people come for the cause, they stay for the community. My job as an experienced creator is to create meaningful connections. Connecting is one of the main ways that nobody wants to go to an event and feel like they can't, they don't, there's nobody to talk to, or they don't know how to navigate the room. I want you to think about when people are creating meaningful connections before, maybe somebody new is coming and you're going to email whoever the new person and give them an email intro to somebody who is a past participant and say, hey, wanted you two to meet. Maybe you can find each other when you get there, or have that experienced participant reach out to the new person and say, hey, saw that you were coming and you're new to this. I'm so excited to meet you. I will be at this table, or I'll meet you here, or whatever. What can you do to create meaningful connections before, during, and after? I deploy boards and committees when I train them to listen and ask and match. So what do I mean by that is I'm listening for what brought you here, what are excited. Don't worry about giving everybody the 30-second spiel or talking about how great your organization is. They're there, they know. I want to know why you're here. What brought you here? I'm so excited that you're here. And somebody says, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to, I've really admired what you do and I'm so excited to be here. Listen, okay, ask them what brought you here. And then if there's something that you can do, match them with somebody. Oh my gosh, like I don't know, I'm just making this up. It's like the St. Louis Zoo or whatever. Oh my God, you love penguins. Our penguin keeper is right over here. Let me introduce you. That kind of thing. Like, okay, that was a little specific, but you get what I'm saying. Ask or listen, ask, listen, and match. And put people together in the room. Um, introduce people, deploy your board and committee members to be very focused on listening and asking questions and listening. What brought you here today? What made you want to join us? Oh, my friend brought me. Okay. No, who's your friend? Ask, ask, ask. Because when you have that information, you can make meaningful connections. I can't meet your needs until I know what they are. So I need to ask and listen. Okay, now meaningful connections, number 5. Number 6 is meet your participant emotional needs. Now, I talked about the emotional journey before, but now I'm just going to talk about the emotional needs. And this is kind of a big one, so hold on. Because there are 7 needs that you want to make sure that you're meeting during an event. You're like, oh my God, 7. But really, it's not as hard as you think. And also, if you nail these, unforgettable experience. Okay. First is safety. Okay. Um, I have to feel safe. The first 2 questions that is it safe? Will I be accepted for who I truly am? And what that looks like, that's wayfinding signage. So people can get to the building. That's somebody to greet them when they get there. That is feeling accepted and welcome and warm. That's that feeling of safety. Thinking about what does it look like to enter? Where will people go? If you buy a ticket and you're waiting in a long line, that doesn't feel very good to somebody. The second is I want to the second is really about pleasure. Like, I want people to have a good time. I want people to be enjoying themselves. They have to feel safe if they're going to come in and enjoy themselves, right? So what is is their acceptance? Is their flow? I mentioned Hope in a Handbag. One of the reasons I love this event so much is because it's very inclusive. There are, handbags that will sell for thousands of dollars and handbags that will sell for $50. And all is beneficial, all is wonderful. So I could go and spend $200. Somebody next to me could spend $5,000. And no one is that, and that's all accepted. So that idea of like the pleasure and the fun of it, how the room flows, how people move through it, all of those things. But so 1, safety, 2, pleasure. 3, action. So action is about positive outcomes. Events ideally work best when you are going to use the money for a problem that has yet to be solved. Because of you, we're going to be able to do this, right? So it gives them that confidence and empowerment that they're a part of a positive outcome. What is the positive thing? And I know there are a lot of problems that we're solving. I go to a gala. I used to go to a gala for Stray Rescue of St. Louis, and every year they show the video, and it's like a 4-minute video of all the dang abused dogs. And you just get your tissue, then you cry, 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 right? And at the end, they bring out all the dogs that were in that video, and you get to meet the dogs. That's a positive outcome. Okay. We're showing people like, hey, here's the, oh my God, it's so amazing too. Like, here's the positive outcomes. Next one is heart. So I just talked about connection, but we want to make sure that we are meeting that heart connection, compassion, connection, acceptance, all of that. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, sorry. This is number 5. Okay. Communication, expression, authentic communication. That your organization is being true and honest about what's happening, that the event is also authentic to you and your value system and your style. Right? If you're a really understated organization, please don't have a big gala. It's not going to suit you. The sixth is your intuition or vision. So what is the vision? What are we creating together? What are we coming together to create as a community? And then the seventh is interconnectedness. A deeper and interconnectedness of everybody in the room feels connected to everyone else, and they feel connected to a cause. And you can do this. You can create this. You thinking about how you can create that emotional interconnectedness, like in the stray rescue one, they bring the dogs up on stage, and everybody's cheering for the dogs, and then you get to meet them afterwards. I am so connected to the healing that goes on inside this organization. I'm so connected to everyone in the room because I know we're all in it for the same thing. That is what you want to create: safety, pleasure, action, heart, communication, vision, and interconnectedness. If you nail those, you're going to be doing great. Okay. Number 7, last thing is capture and keep the energy. We have to think about what's happening after this event as much as what's happening during this event. Who, like watching, like say, oh, who do we need to follow up with? Who's a good prospect that we need to follow up with? Or maybe we just need an email. I'm so sick of, like going to an event and a week later I get an email. Thank you for coming. You have the technology to set up an email that can go out the next morning. And I know you're tired and I know it was a late night. But just drop in a couple pictures, tell everybody thanks for coming. And so they wake up in the morning and they're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. I feel so appreciated. Thinking about what's going to happen a week after, who you're going to follow up with, a month later. What would be the next natural progression? Maybe if it's a big event, you're going to host a couple of lunch and learns and grab those prospects and bring them to a lunch and learn. You thinking about before, during, and after what is going to happen, because so many times we stir up a bunch of energy and there's really no follow through. It just dissipates. Sure, you raise a lot of money, but then it just, all that energy, all that goodwill just goes whew, right? Your plan of action for, I would say, up to 3 months after that event is as important as that event. Even more, what is the strategy to follow up after an event? That will help capture and keep the energy. Like people who come to the event and you're going to be adding them to the email list, give them that nurture sequence that I mentioned. Um, Personal phone calls of people who came that it was so great to see you. No one's going to call you back. It's fine, right? But just call somebody like, oh my God, it was so great to see you. I'm so excited that you were here. Thank you for everything. Hey, and by the way, we're doing this lunch and learn. If you want to come learn more, we'd love to have you. Whatever you decide is totally okay. That kind of thing can be super, super powerful. Just make a plan for follow-up. Now, lastly, I want to say this. Transformation is the ultimate reward. You want to transform people. Here's the stats to back this up. 85% repeat donors feeling transformed by their giving. 3.5 times giving increase when donors experience transformation. 3.5 times. 74% of legacy donors cite personal transformation as a motivation. I am a different person because of my experience with this organization. I am fundamentally changed. That is not too tall of an order for you to fill. I promise you, because I can see that you transform lives all the time. You can do it for your donors as well. People want connection, growth, and contribution. That is our higher order needs. And when you give them that, they feel transformed. They got to grow in their knowledge. They got to grow in their connections. They got to feel connected to something greater than themselves. And they got to give back to something that was important to them. That is transformational. And thinking about your events, not I think we move too quickly to the strategy, like, oh, I need some creative ideas. Well, let's get some context for those. What do we want to accomplish? What do we want to have come out of this event? And then we can think of the ideas to fill it. And there are so many ways that you can connect with people and different people and different audiences, different participants will want to participate in a different way. One of the best things that you can do, it's not part of my 7, but you might consider this, is before you do anything, talk to some people. Have a quick focus group, even a Zoom call, invite or do a quick lunch and learn. And you're going to learn from them and say, I'm here to just talk, like, what made you come? What was your favorite part? What would make you want to stay? Ask people what they value. They will tell you. And then you can start to implement those ideas or see if those ideas are feasible. I love, and not, you can do a participant survey and, event attendee survey, all of that. Oh, and also doing just a small group discussion can be very, very powerful and give you tons and tons of feedback and ideas. Okay, remember, transformation is the ultimate reward. Okay, so go forth, my friends, and be an event creator, not an experience creator, not an event planner. And my call to action for this is if you are interested in learning or in having a speaker for your event or your experiences, excuse me, if you're having a conference experience or a workshop experience, or looking for some training for your team or your board, I'm happy to share this event knowledge or other fundraising knowledge with you. Just shoot me an email, Maryanne@courageouscommunication.com. And there's a little link in the show notes. You can book a call with me and I'm happy to talk. And until next time, that's it for me and the Influential Nonprofit.